Y'all know how technology is.
It is what it is.
You know how it is, but we're here.
All right, we're seeing a little something now. So it'll be better to have it turn.
Yes.
Of course it is.
I tell you that.
It always was. Don't tell me.
Oh, I gotta unlock. It's not locked. Is it? No, it's not. So why?
Hmm.
Huh.
All right. Well, why is
Oh,
it still turned here?
there's a delay.
Oh, it's a delay. Okay, cool. All right.
Hey,
So
hey, hey, y'all. Sorry for the delay. Um, we were trying to get some things together, but we're here.
we are
We're
here.
ready to talk. And thank you for everybody who is tuned in already.
We appreciate you.
I see you, Tony.
Shout out to the big homie.
We gotta turn on our podcast sign. Can't
It's
forget
important.
that. It's important. All right, babe. So what you wanna do? You wanna wait for more people to come?
We could definitely wait for a few more people, but I don't want to wait too long. Because I want to make sure we kind of keep the progress going a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So first off, how was your day?
Long.
Long. Yeah. Right.
It was a long
There
day.
was a lot happening.
I thought I was gonna take a nap, and that did not happen.
No naps.
But that's okay.
It'd be like that
It was
sometimes.
productive.
Yeah.
How about yours?
Yeah, like productive but long, and now that it's kind of we're here at this part, I'm like, ooh, this is fun now. I can kind of relax and chill out and have a little fun with my people. But
Okay.
yeah, but it was still very productive.
Nice.
Still very productive.
Nice.
So
Nice.
and we are excited to be able to come to you guys live. We're gonna be doing this pretty regularly and trying to make sure that we engage. We just finished season 1, the first 25 episodes of our podcast. Now, how does that? That's something to celebrate. I'm sorry, 25. Clap it up. Clap it up.
We gotta celebrate
We
that.
gotta celebrate that. That's important. We celebrate consistency over here. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so first and foremost, I do want to just kind of jump in. I don't want to take too long, but first and foremost, thank you guys for being here. There's just a few
Absolutely.
of you here, but we sincerely appreciate every soul that comes to our platform and wants to build with us. It's a really big
Yes.
deal. This is something we've been working on for a while. It's beautiful to see it come to fruition.
Yes.
If you see me looking over here, I'm checking out the
The
laptop.
laptop so we can respond
So we can
if you have
respond.
comments.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we can hear what you have to say. If you have any questions for us, we can answer them.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Trying to
all
make
right.
that work. Yeah. So,
All right, baby. So let's dive in to. I know we talked about it briefly on the last podcast or two, but where did Two Average People come from? What is that about?
Two Average People comes from an idea that we represent not because we were chosen, but because we are. We represent in our community that group who loves and wants to be married. And especially in our community, that idea seems to kind of be dwindling a little bit. But from our spaces that we've seen, we represent just the everyman, and we're just two average people deciding to come together and in making our decisions and our choice to be together to do all the things that go with that and to choose that thing daily. And in doing that, it gives us a chance to really examine what we think, feel in the moments, and recognize that we are just like everyone else.
Yes.
We're just like everyone else.
You know, as we've done this, babe, I've realized that, you know, marriage is evolving. It's very different than what we think of as a traditional marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you step outside of that norm, people kind of look at you like, okay, what are y'all doing? Or y'all are strange, or y'all are weird, or
Yeah,
why
that's
y'all
true.
talking about that, or
I
why
can see
y'all do
that.
that. You know what I'm saying?
I can
But
see that.
you know, when we say that we are the norm or traditional, you know, we're open to so many different thoughts and ideas about marriage.
It's
You
true.
know, so, and this is why we talk about it, because we've asked questions like, are we really supposed to be monogamous? Like, are we really built to be monogamous? You know, I ask that all the
Is
time.
marriage
Like,
really supposed to last forever?
Is it supposed to last forever?
Is
Because
it?
are we really built this way? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of social norms and influence when it comes to that kind of thing. But like when you really think about us as human beings and how we were built and made, like these questions are stuff that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, facts.
And so, you know, the goal is to really, really have joy with whoever you choose to be with, right?
Yep.
So if that is with him, he's with me, or you know, whoever. That's really, really the goal here.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you only got one life to live, right?
And I refuse, and that's what we talked about since we were kids. I refuse to live this life poorly. Like I don't, I'm not about to spend a whole decade miserable just because. No, 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 no. Let's actually enjoy life. Let's be a part of each other enjoying. Like I should help you fully enjoy your life, whatever that looks like, because we only get one.
Right.
And I want somebody to help me fully enjoy mine because I only get one.
Right.
But if we're both doing that and we're both doing it within the boundaries that we set up, everything else is just a situation.
Yeah.
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 So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wanted to touch on a few of our topics. You know, obviously there is a lot of discussion around some of our latest podcasts, but I wanted to touch on a few of them that we've talked, and some that were near and dear, and some that were kind of, you know, controversial.
Right.
You know, we talked about anxiety, and I'm bringing that up because I know this month, I believe, is Mental Awareness Month, and so I wanted to bring that up because I, having gone through it myself, I didn't realize how many people are struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big deal.
With some sort of anxiety or depression or PTSD or whatever. But it really, really does affect the people in your life, particularly the people that you are in relationship with. Right? So, you know, recap, I had a lot of anxiety. It definitely affected our relationship. I was at the point where I was like, you know what? Like, just go on and do you kind of thing, because I'm not going to be what you need me to be. So just kind of go do you. I'm not trying to hold you back.
When you said go do you, what did you mean at that time?
Exactly that I am not in a place that I can give you what you need as for a husband, as your wife.
Huh. Okay.
Like, I didn't feel like I was in a place to give to you what you needed. I mean, same with London too.
Yeah, I can see
it
that.
wasn't I just didn't feel like I could do that the way that you needed it or the way that you knew it to be. And so I was like, you know, why don't you go ahead and do your, I don't want to hold you back. You had all these dreams and aspirations, and, you know, I'm stuck. So fast forward, we're here now. I'm doing so much better.
So much better.
We are doing so much better, but it was a challenge, y'all. It was a challenge. And so I wanted to touch on that.
Tony, you're so right. Mental health is so important. You're absolutely right.
So
such a big
So
deal. Such
important.
Individually and collectively, such a big deal.
Have to really focus on your mental health. All of us, I feel like all of us at some point in our life go through phases of or I would say periods where we struggle with our thoughts. Let's put it that way.
That's the best way to put it. Struggle with your thoughts.
Struggle with your thoughts, because
we all do that.
We all do that, right? But I think there's a spectrum from I'm having these not so nice thoughts to, oh my gosh, I'm totally depressed and want to kill myself. And I feel like at some point in our life, we struggle with that. And so we really, really have to pay attention to it and really, really try to do things that can help build our mind and keep our mind in a healthy place. And growing up the way that we did with Caribbean parents, shout out to our parents.
Shout out to the parents.
But that wasn't something that was ever talked about or discussed. It wasn't a thing, right? You just didn't talk. It was, you better study your books.
It was education.
Right, educate. That was it.
That was what.
You gotta study.
Education fixes depression. Education helps hemorrhoids. Education helps arthritis. It's education. That's kind of
it just wasn't talked about. And so here we are as adults living in a world, married, child, pandemic. What? What?
It's pretty much all.
What am I supposed to do?
A mental health.
I don't know what to do.
Point. Yeah.
No, you're having anxiety. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with me. I'm not having anxiety. Something's wrong with my heart. Something's wrong with my lungs. Something's wrong with me. No, you're having anxiety. No, anxiety can't do this.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
That's where I was. Right? And so I really, really think that you have to assess where you are. But I didn't know. I needed somebody to tell me. And that's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. Right?
Yeah.
I needed somebody to tell me.
That's true.
So, and even when people told me, I was like, no. Something's wrong with you. I'm fine. I mean, mentally fine. Physically, I'm jacked up. but the point is, like Tony said, mental health is so important.
It's so important.
So I just wanted to say we're doing great. It
was a really good episode too, because it allowed us to kind of really deep dive and explore what it feels like, both going through it and both from the outside looking in, going through it with you, So that episode really gave us a lot of perspective.
Yeah. It was really. So one of the other things that I think people want to hear, babe, is about the man's mind and how you guys think.
We try not to.
And I know that's pretty vague, right? But if I had to ask you a question as a man, right? What is the one thing that you want me as a woman to understand about you as a man?
The one thing that I would want you...
I mean, it's not one thing, I'm
it's really not. There's a bunch.
What's the thing that comes to mind?
The thing that comes to mind is we're a lot easier than sometimes you give us credit for.
Okay.
It's just... most of the time, like when you ask, what you thinking about? The answer is legitimately nothing.
Or sex.
Or nothing.
Oh, sorry, I had to throw that in there.
I know you did.
Because all women believe that is on your mind 24/7.
It's not necessarily
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's not necessarily a wrong belief, though. So let's not do that. She's right. It's not necessarily a wrong belief, but sometimes, especially when a man is comfortable in his marriage and satisfied in that way, sometimes I just like sitting in my peaceful place.
But that, for me, is hard to understand, especially with a man like you whose mind is always going. I find it very hard to believe that you are not always thinking about something that is either going to gain you money, power, or sex. Am I wrong?
Well, everything I do gains me one or all three of those things. But you're not necessarily wrong, but I know the difference between thinking through a thing and a fleeting thought. I get flooded with fleeting thoughts sometimes. And for me, I don't pay attention to those fleeting thoughts. So for me, I'm not really thinking about anything.
And therefore, you don't need to share.
No, because in that moment when you're like, what you thinking about? I might be thinking, why the hell do cows have 4 stomachs? Like, what exactly are they doing with 4 of them? Like, now I want to go on National Geographic and figure out why the hell cows have 4 stomachs?
Wait, what?
That's my point. Is sometimes that's the thought, and then I don't pursue. I go, what are you talking about? Just watch Tom and Jerry and stop that with the cow thing, and then it goes. Sometimes that's what it is.
Okay.
But how do I explain that without sounding like a complete moron? Exactly. That's why when you ask me the question, the answer is nothing. Nothing.
So okay, so you guys are more simple than we think.
Mm-hmm. Tony says there's nothing specific that's being thought of to share. I feel it. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly it. It's nothing specific. It's not a. I'm not always thinking about the mortgage, or I'm not always thinking about the water bill. Sometimes my brain is just presenting itself with a weird question that I'm either going to take on or I'm going to leave alone completely.
And I think, for some women that actually presents a problem.
All right, let's talk about
now, I can accept that you are simple in that way. However, I think this is where we as women have issues because we...
It's good of you to admit that.
Issues with you. Not my own issues.
I was just trying to be supportive. You want me to support you and not give, I just need to listen and not give solutions.
I feel like that's where our issues lie, is because we want you to think about some things more than you do or don't. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, if we get in a place where we're like, okay, we got this to think about, we got that to think about, we got this or whatever, and you're just sitting there like, why do cows have 4 stomachs? Meanwhile, I got this dinner that has to be cooked, extracurricular activities with our daughter. Like, can you help? Can you help me think about something? That's how I feel like we are. That's how we feel about it. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for us because, sometimes the pressure feels like it's all on us.
Tony says, I started listening stuff until my wife told me to stop before I get like 16 I want to watch. Yeah, because sometimes it's like that. And it's not like, we're not trying to be dismissive of what needs to happen. That's not the goal here. But a lot of the time, if I'm being honest, and fellas out there, I'd love to hear in the chat if you feel this the same way. If you do, like the video simply because it helps us with the algorithm and such. But we don't think you actually think about these things either. You feel about them. And then in your panic about it, you either come up with a plan or we come up with a plan.
I feel that I have to cook dinner. What are you talking about?
No. I'm not saying that you feel like you have to cook dinner. But a lot of the times, it's not that you have to cook the dinner. For you, it's like, I don't want to have to think about what to cook for dinner or what to do for dinner. And so what it ends up being is, I gotta think about dinner. What am I doing? I got this, I got that. I don't know how am I gonna get all this stuff done. That's not thinking about it. To me, that's not thinking about it. That's feeling about it. That's all the things, all the emotions that are rushing around it, that will provoke you to a plan. But meanwhile, for me, it's like, screw it. We can do Chipotle. There, I thought about it.
Except every night, that's not going to work.
Didn't say every night would work, but just tonight, yeah.
And then tomorrow night, we're in the same place.
We'll have to think about it.
We?
Yeah.
But you're not thinking about it.
No, I didn't say I would never think about it.
No, I didn't say you did. But you're not thinking about it in the moment. You're
I'm not thinking about it in the moment.
With stomachs.
Yes.
Exactly my point. So do you see how that presents a dilemma for me as a woman who does have to think about and has a child that needs to eat?
Well, no, because in the same thing about, okay, have I ever left our child to starve?
No.
All right then, which means no matter what, she's going to eat, right? Hold on. Go with me.
I'll go with you. Because you have to preface that.
So that means that she's not going to starve.
Okay.
Right? So it is being thought about. I just don't think in terms of what I see, thinking in this context is we think about it differently. And so sometimes I feel like if it's not if the way we're going about it isn't the way you perceive that it should be going, that's when it presents a problem.
Well, I don't agree with that fully, because
what up, Dane? What's going on with you?
Hey, Dane. I don't agree with you fully, because yes, you're right. It's not necessarily that it presents a problem, but this is where I think this is where communication comes in.
Okay, let's
talk about it. Do
you
see what I'm saying? And so, we have these nice, healthy discussions, y'all. So I'm glad you guys are here joining us in, because this is really how we talk. I've had to learn.
This is really how we talk.
And we're talking about dinner specifically, but it could be anything. It could be whatever that has to happen within the household.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about dinner, I've had to learn how to really communicate it so I don't feel overwhelmed by all that I feel I have to do, right? And so that may be a conversation of, hey, because what I've learned, what he's taught me, what I've learned is that men why is that so hard to say? Compartmentalize.
I thought you were talking about something else. I mean, we do that too, but I don't know that's what we're talking about on YouTube Live. I mean,
they compartmentalize, right? And so what that means, ladies, is that they put things in a compartment and it kind of stays there. Yeah, so it could be household, it could be sex, it could be money, it could be work, it could be their creative side, whatever, but it's all in compartments. Not us, right? Everything is just spaghetti, right? I like spaghetti. Y'all like spaghetti? Cool. All right. But so don't let nobody make you think that our brains aren't working because it's spaghetti. Okay, we know what we're doing.
It's true.
But for them, they compartmentalize, and so him not thinking about dinner per se is not necessarily that he's not thinking about it, right? It's just that he is not in that compartment.
That's a great way.
So as a woman, I'm like, so is sex like over all the compartments? Because you're always in that compartment, right?
It's not that I'm always.
Sex doesn't really have a compartment.
I'm always in that compartment.
It's like food, sex.
Is that
it's like job, sex.
Look, it's not
like
my
creative.
It's
sex.
not my fault. You fine.
It got a drizzle.
So what you want me to
do? A drizzle.
Just
in every compartment.
Just because your drip is sexy as hell. What you want? You walking around like a salmon dipped in honey. I'm a grizzly bear, and you like, see, all you can think about is food, and I'm like, you right. You right. My bad. I'm gonna focus on what I'm doing.
But believe it or not, there's been like 1 or 2 times in the 12 years we've been married that he hasn't been in that compartment. But
that's true, because I'm not always there.
I'm not always there. But they think in compartments. And so what I've had to learn is that not necessarily that he doesn't care about what needs to happen in the house, or what dinner needs to be cooked, or what extracurricular activities London has, or bathroom cleaned. I sometimes have to communicate that I need help.
Yeah.
Right? And so, because sometimes I get overwhelmed with all that I have to do as a woman. I feel overwhelmed. And a lot of the time, we look at our men and we're like, what are you doing? You know we got to eat. Like, you know this. You take the initiative. And that thought process isn't wrong. It's just not complete.
Yeah, it's not complete.
Do you see? It's not complete. Fair. And so that's what I've had to learn. Taking the initiative can mean a whole lot of different things. And so
that part.
I've had to learn to say, look, babe, I really got a lot going on. Do you think you can handle dinner? Now, the other parts of that is it may not look the way I want it to look.
It may not look the way you want that. See, so we got to spend time on that. That's true.
I may want a home cooked meal, and his handling dinner may be ordering pizza, right? But this is where the give and take, the compromise comes. Okay. You want him to handle dinner? Sure. You could say, can you handle dinner? Can you make Cornish hen and sweet potato and macaroni and cheese? Okay, but that's fine. That I can ask him to do that. And my husband will try, but he also doesn't like to cook. So why would I necessarily request that from him, per se? However, I can say, hey, babe, do you mind handling dinner? But I don't want to eat out. Like, I'm really trying to exercise, watch my diet. Can we cook at home? Or I can
Yeah.
say, hey, look, I don't care what. There's been times where I'll be like, can you handle dinner? But I don't want that place across the street.
That's perfectly
Anything
fine.
else is fine. I just don't feel like eating Chinese or whatever.
I think if I wanna sum it all up real quick, the best way to talk to your man is with a respectful approach, the request itself, the time frame. Those 3 components are a big deal.
Yes.
You can't tell your man, hey, wash the dishes. One, because from the minute you went, hey, I'm not listening to you. You didn't say a word. So,
but why is that? Can you explain what that means?
Okay.
Why did you stop listening?
For a man, for me, I'm gonna talk about me. For me, respect is something that is earned. But again, after I feel like I've earned that respect, once you go, hey, and you kind of bark at me, I'm now in fix it mode. I go into fix it mode first. I'm like, okay, well, something's up. Let's talk about what's up. It's not that I didn't hear the request, but that's way down on the priority list now because something's clearly wrong. So let's address what's wrong first. So now you put me in the wrong compartment.
Mm-hmm.
You did it by accident probably, but now I'm in the wrong compartment. And if you keep barking, then I got to take space away from you. And I got to separate myself. I'm definitely not thinking about the dishes you just asked me to wash. And yes, you just asked me to wash it, but it's not even anywhere in my purview anymore.
And Tony made a good point. It's not a man thing; it's a people thing. It's true.
That's a very good point.
It's true because if he talked to me that way, I'd be like, okay, hold on. I feel, let's talk about this. I feel a little.
What's going on?
What's going on? Yeah, something we need to talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is the time. If there is an issue that you have with your spouse not doing enough around the house or whatever the case may be, that is the time where you say, actually, yeah, I do need to talk.
I do, yeah.
I feel like. And I always tell people use I statements because once it's I always tell him, you can't change the way I feel. Now, how I react to how I feel makes me wrong or right.
That's facts.
So if I'm mad, I can be mad all day. Now I need to know how to control that and put it in its proper place. But if I'm mad and then I go out and I start throwing things across the room, now I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But I could truly be mad. And so I need to make sure that I communicate to him, hey, I feel like I need more help around the house. I need more help with dinner. I need more help with cleaning. I just feel like I'm doing it all on my own. And a lot of the time, I would say probably 60 or 70% of the time, the other person doesn't even see it that way.
No, that's true.
They're like, wait, what?
If I'm being honest, a lot of the time, I see a lot of the stresses that you feel. Now hear me out, right? But I hear as I'm watching you go through it, I see a lot of the stresses that you feel as self-inflicted. So then I have to go, how much of this can I even take off your plate?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I can't take off even if I did everything. Even if you asked me to cook dinner and I did it, all you're going to do is then worry about what I'm doing. Did I burn it? Did I remember the timer? So you're going to go either way. So if you're going to go either way, I have to decide, am I going to go with you or am I just going to hang back? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not always true, but it does feel like that sometimes.
Yeah. I understand that. Because, especially me, I'm the type of person, I kind of want it done the way that I want it done. But I have to realize that I'm with somebody else who's different than me. We're actually pretty opposite in our personality.
Yeah.
We like a lot of the same things,
Facts.
But our personalities are pretty opposite. And so he is probably going to do something the opposite of how I would do it. He would probably start...
Pretty much consistently.
Consistently, he would do it the opposite way that I would do it. So I know that going in. And so if I'm like, hey, can you handle dinner? I know going in that there's just certain things that he's going to do a little differently.
It might be a bit of an experiment.
It might be an experiment. And that's okay because at the end of the day, it's about whether we eat or not, right?
Yeah. And I think men get to the bottom line super fast. Everything above the bottom line is preference. And if you want me to get the dishes washed, I'll get the dishes washed. However, if I chuck them all in the dishwasher and it started, that shouldn't be a problem. If you're like, I want you to wash the dishes, but I want you to wash them by hand, and I want you to use this cloth and this soap, and you have to do it counterclockwise, and then clockwise to dry. Okay, now we're doing a lot.
Right.
You know, I'm not mad at you, but now it feels like we're doing a lot just
Right.
for the sake of doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm never gonna see it that way as a dude. I'm just gonna kind of do it, and not necessarily with a nasty heart or bad intentions. Just I'm just gonna kind of do it.
Yeah.
And so I can hurry up and get back to with other things.
I know, and that's the thing. You know, a lot of the time we talk, and I feel like men are very solution oriented.
Very.
So you guys are very like, okay, what's the problem? Okay, dot. Here's the solution.
Yeah.
And it, for us, it feels, a lot of the time it feels very dismissive, because it's like you're overlooking the part of this that's affecting me or bothering me. It's how sometimes it feels for me as a woman, you know? And so I'm not saying, I understand not having to cry about it for days or what, you know, right? But at the same time, I am an emotional being. I'm a feeling person.
And so that's a big deal. I got lots to say.
And I know the way that I would put it is not that men don't have feelings. You guys have feelings. It's just not necessarily a factor in a situation per se.
Look, Dane just said something I thought was very poignant. He said, expectations must be communicated, not assumed.
Yes.
Sometimes over communication is needed until we learn.
Absolutely.
That is facts on facts on facts.
Facts on facts.
One of the biggest things that I had to learn as a husband, because we would have an issue and then we would have a talk about it, and then I'm done. I'm done. It's not even on my mind at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, the next day she's like, "So are we going to talk about this?" I'm like,
"You forgot already? How'd you forget?"
Yeah, we're going to talk about this. Yeah, you ready now? I was waiting on you. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was done. Is the truth. And sometimes we needed to have that conversation multiple times so I can go, okay, that time I actually heard you.
Right.
I wasn't trying to before, but that time I heard it.
Right.
It may take me 10 times, but I heard you that time.
Right. And like Dane said, it is about learning each other.
Yeah.
It is about taking that time to understand who you're working with and understanding me as a woman and you as a man.
Yeah.
I'm a feelings person. You're more a physical person, right? And so I need to work through the emotions before I can even think about hearing a solution.
Oh, that's a good one. Fellas, that's a good one. She told me something that made so much sense. Oh, it didn't make sense initially, but when I saw it in practice, I was like, oh, that's what she means by she's a feeling person. If something happens, I'm trying to get to the solution. She's steady crying. We can't get her settled at all. And I couldn't figure it out. And she says, I have to get through my emotions first to get to the part where I can be logical and go with you. So just give me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You may not feel like this is worth crying about.
Yeah.
You may not feel like this is worth being upset about, but this is how it's affecting me.
Yeah.
Do you see that? And I'm not gonna lie, there's sometimes where like hormones during the cycle or like
when she was pregnant, that was a thing.
Man,
I was like, why are you crying now? I
don't know. Man, I think it's no joke. You know, I don't even understand it. But what I do know is I feel this thing. I acknowledge that I feel this thing. I'm telling you that I feel this thing, and what I need you not to do is shut it down.
Yeah, and I was notorious for shutting it down. I'd be like, hey, all right, well, holler at me when you're done, so we can kind of just keep going, because this feels like nonsense to me.
I mean, he didn't tell me that.
I didn't say that, no. Well, at least not all the time.
You're probably thinking it.
Definitely thinking it. Definitely
not nice.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, it's really important. So we're gonna move on. So what are some of the other topics, maybe, that you think people really?
Well, one that I found was very intriguing. It didn't get a lot of views on YouTube, but what was it? What's this episode? I can't even see which episode it is. But the secret to marriage, and the fact that there legitimately is not one, because as two individual people coming together, you're creating a unique union. And so there can't be a secret that can work universally
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody works exactly the same way. But understanding your partner on as deep a level as you can understand them will be the difference maker in your whole marriage. Now, that might not mean that your marriage looks like everybody else's marriage,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like happiness in your marriage should be the goal after duty to the family. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with exploring what happy means to you as long as you're doing it out in the open.
So do you think people like really just stay like lovey dovey? Oh, we're so great. We're happy the whole time they're married. Like I'm talking about couples who stay married until
Until
death
death
do
do
us
us
part.
part.
Or do you think it becomes a point where they kind of just tolerate each other and we just it doesn't make sense to break up now. We're 80 years old. We've been together forever. Like I
I gotta
wonder
say,
how the marriage
I gotta
evolves.
say, I gotta say, the funniest thing, I'm gonna answer your question, right? But the funniest thing to see is an old married couple and they cussing each other out, but they too old to do anything else about it. Oh my God, it's the funniest thing. He be like, he be like, why don't you just get up and go in the other room? Why don't you get up and go in the other room? It's
You
hilarious.
think that's how we're gonna be, babe?
I hope so, because I would laugh to myself regularly if that's the case. And no, no, no. But no, I feel like there's ebbs and flows. I feel like every relationship does this. I feel like in a marriage that's way more magnified. It's in your face,
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard to really tell the difference as you're going through that. But there's sometimes when a couple should be lovey dovey. If a couple's lovey dovey the entire time, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I hope nobody thinks that about us. It ain't the case. Cause I wouldn't buy it with us either. I wouldn't like, no, I don't care. Tabari and Nadia, they be fighting. They be do. They be fighting. But sometimes,
Now we don't fight a lot.
mm-mm,
That's true.
we
We're
don't fight a
not
lot.
argumentative type people.
Mm-mm.
We have a lot of discussions though, and that is kind of where we learn to um, compromise and give and take and kind of reason with each other a little bit. But we're not fighters in general.
Nah, I don't
Um,
want to fight you.
and then we know how to give each other the space
Yeah,
that we need. So it's that's I guess that's
yeah. It's we have to go through the things we have to go through as a couple,
Mhm.
just like any other couple. We have to learn each other, just like every other couple has to
Mhm.
learn each other. The question becomes in the moments when we're at that lull, are we still making the positive decision to stay together? Are we still answering in the affirmative to that? Yeah.
and that's the thing. I think eventually in marriage, I mean, it's really always a choice. But I think the longer you stay together as you get older, it becomes more of a choice
Mm.
than an emotion.
I think it's a choice. And I think you're absolutely
You
right.
know,
The
it's
emotion wears away, and at this point, we've been together what over 20 years. Not married the entire time,
yeah,
dating or whatever. But 20 years is a long
it's a
time.
long time. And so when I was thinking about this, the secret to marriage, I was like, I think life is a bunch of memories. Some are bad, some are hopefully more good. Is marriage for a time and part of your memory box of your life. So what I mean by that is, are we really meant to be married forever? Like are we really built to be with one person for the rest of our lives? Now I know it can happen. Obviously it can happen. But when you look at the divorce rates and you look at people who've been together forever, and what did they say? We just grew apart, or
Yep.
they cheated, or whatever the case may be. It really makes you think about how we are built. if you consider us animals, some people don't. If you consider us animals, no other animal lives like how we live.
Nope.
They just don't. So what makes us think that we are meant to live that way? Just a question. I'm not trying to say I'm not, I don't know, believe in marriage. I definitely believe in the unity of marriage before God and all of that. But what I'm saying is these are the questions these are the real questions that we need to ask ourselves.
And what does that marriage look like?
What does that marriage look like?
What does it look like?
How can we have realistic expectations of what marriage looks like for us?
Yeah.
And that's going to be different, I guess, from couple to couple.
That's going to be different from couple to couple.
So, all right, baby. What you got for us?
All right. Well, we've been in here for about 40 minutes now. And first off, we sincerely appreciate...
Oh, hold on. We have a question.
We have a question?
What do you mean by no other animal lives as... Okay, Tony said, what do you mean by no other animal lives as we live? Other animals are monogamous. So that's that's what I mean. Like, you look at a lion, right? For instance, you know, their male lions are clearly not monogamous. Mm-hmm. The only animal that
there's some animals that are monogamous,
like the black widow. Y'all know that's my favorite one, right? The black widow, he has sex with her and she eats him.
That is the ultimate form.
That is the ultimate form of monogamy. So yes, there are other animals. Who else can you think of, baby? The majority of animals, though, I don't think
the majority of animals don't. Like, I think there are very, especially mammal species, there are very few that live monogamously. There are some bird species that do, and I think seahorses do.
Seahorses?
It's random, but I think so. Yes. But the point is, monogamy...
The male also carries the babies for seahorses.
Yes. So which is also very interesting. So yes, there are some species that do, but not really.
Well, I think the majority
don't.
don't.
The ones that do,
I mean, let me know
different.
If I'm wrong.
But I think at the same time, between the primate species and the Homo sapien species, we're the ones that can be monogamish.
Well, and we, of course... You know, we're at the top of the...
Right. First off, there's a couple dozen agreed, majority don't. Yep. Yeah, that tracks. Right. So it's one of those things where what happens is we kind of assume we're supposed to be monogamous. The Gaboons are monogamous. What I've heard about them is they're monogamish. Like they do exist in a society where yes, they're supposed to be monogamous, and yes, for the most part that happens. But for the most part that happens. It's not impossible for some little in the bushes, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing that's stopping that. But that's what I'm saying is some of those species aren't even strictly monogamous. You know what I'm saying?
And we're not saying monogamy is not real and can't exist.
Or bad
at all. This is not what we're saying. But again, these are the questions that we're asking ourselves. These are the real questions that we're asking ourselves.
Yes. So really what I wanted to dive into at this point is, once again, thank you guys for being with us.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in and for all the future tune-ins. Make sure you like this video. This is our very first time going live, and we are going to make this as best as experience as we can make it.
Yes.
But one of the things that I wanted to get to is our last video, which has the highest video view count so far at 591.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. So shout outs to everybody on YouTube for giving us 500 views on our videos.
Shout out to
you so far. And that's the Andrew Tate reaction video we did.
Very controversial.
For some reason, who knows? Look, here's my thought process on Andrew, and to be honest, Nadia has not seen a whole bunch of stuff on Andrew. Quite frankly, it's not necessary. I don't personally care for the message, his messaging overall. However, and this is a big however, I can't say that he's I can't say that he's right or wrong about things because that's completely subjective when you're talking about how people live their lives. But I can tell you that it works, a lot of what he's talking about. And however that makes people feel, it does work. And it doesn't work because of him. It just works because he's just kind of spouting off what historically had been the case in a way that is controversial enough to keep getting him clicks, views, and so forth and so on. That's a hard pill to swallow because where I believe that being factually correct about a thing is important, and most men do because we're cost benefit analysis calculators. At the same time, again, something Nadia said earlier that makes a lot of sense is also true, and that is she is an emotional being. So here's the takeaway ultimately with on my take with Andrew, right? He may be right. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's absolutely right about everything he's ever said about it out his mouth, right? Even so, that his whole response only represents 50% of the equation in a relationship.
Yes.
That's still a failing grade at best.
Yep. Speak it, baby. Speak it.
Without the other side and knowing how to incorporate the other side so it falls like that and not like this doesn't make a relationship. You see what I'm saying? So if you're the Andrew Tate type and you're just spouting off whatever out the mouth, it'll make you famous. And you'll have lots of women giving themselves to you physically and wanting to commit, but they won't be the ones who can actually do it. They won't be the ones you can actually make an actual wife and get actual wifey results from.
So, okay. It seems like,
and you won't be able to provide husbandly results back,
right?
Because you're both doing this. That makes sense.
And that's kind of the impression that I get. You know, he is a bit extreme in his approach, and so a lot of the time it's, you know, it comes across as I'm just trying to prove you wrong because I'm right and what I'm saying is right. And so in this, if you miss this last reaction video, he talked about how men often aren't looked at all.
Yeah.
Like women can like be out of shape, they can wearing a bonnet.
I think what he said was fat. Like, let's just go ahead and call it like if he's
well, see, and he said fat, but there's a lot of beautiful fat women, so that men want and like, and that there's nothing wrong with that. So even just
Brooks, I said you too, broski, and it changes to Brooks for some reason. I'm my bad, bro. I'm not gonna change it now. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So his point was that men just often are overlooked, and no matter what a woman looks like, she's gonna get attention. So, and it's just not that simple to me. It's just not that simple. First of all, I feel like a lot of, I mean, I know.
But what was your impressions of him? First off, let's just start there.
Well, you all, I mean, as I said in the video, again, he comes across very angry. He comes across extreme.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that he may not be all wrong in what he's saying, but he's so far to one side of it that he's not considering all the other possibilities that could be surrounded or that surround that topic. For instance, like a lot of women feel like the men should be the one pursuing them. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm not the one that's going to pursue a man.
She's not.
I'm just not that type. And
no matter. That's the part that I love the best about her. That's the part.
I'm just not like. I mean, that's just not. I want to. I'm old school in that way, and I want to be pursued. Because honestly, to be truthful, I don't want to come across fast and like that's just not who I am. And so when you consider that, it may not be that she doesn't notice the guy or that she doesn't like the guy or is not attracted to the guy, But she's not the one that's going to necessarily step out there and pursue that guy. She may hope that he pursues her, but
well, also in that clip that we were that he was talking, he wasn't talking about the guys that you notice. He was talking about the guys who aren't going to even show up on your radar. He's talking about the guys who don't have enough or present enough to show up on a woman's radar. So what I'm saying is it's not necessarily you doing anything wrong as a woman. It's him not being enough to present well to a woman, to get her attention, to get her at all, honestly.
But he may not show up on my radar, but he may show up on somebody else's radar.
That's
and I
the
think
hard
and
part.
I think this is where it looks one-sided, because in his mind it's like, okay, no matter what I look like, I'm going to show up on a lot of guys' radar. But no matter what, he is not going to show, and the guy is not going to show up on our radar by multiple women.
Yeah. There's only a very few guys that can actually pull that off.
And again, it's so compounded, because the first part of that, like I said, he may not show up on my radar, but he might show up on another person's radar, another woman's radar. The other parts of that is you guys start physical.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You start there. Not saying we don't necessarily, like, okay, yeah, you have to be naturally attracted. That's people, right? But because it's naturally kind of, then correct me if I'm wrong, it's natural for you to be the one to pursue. You guys are actually, when you go out, if you're single, you're looking for that woman. You're looking for that person. I don't know that women necessarily walk around with that same perspective.
There's a very big truth to what you're talking about, because I think there is a difference between the one who hunts and the hunted in this way. I feel like there's a fundamental difference. If you are being hunted, you just look up in the moment to make sure that there's no predator looking at you, and then you kind of go back to what you're doing.
Exactly.
But that's his point, though. You go back to what you're doing. He could be standing right next to you. You wouldn't notice him because he's not enough of a
threat
in this particular example, right? However, the guy who's 6'5", drives a Maserati, who's 23 for no reason, and has a mansion and money coming out the wazoo, for a lot of women, everybody looking. Not only looking, they trying to see what's good. He pops up on their radars quick, fast, and in a hurry. Now, I said it in the podcast, if you're the dude who can't measure up, sorry to say it that way, couldn't, lack of a better word, and you do nothing about it, all right, cool, well, you stay right there, bro, because I ain't got nothing for you anyway. Sorry, that's just man logic. We step up or step off. But that guy, a lot of the time, doesn't even have the guidance to elevate. He doesn't know what to do, and he's frustrated because he cannot get to what he's trying to get to, which is what every guy is trying to get to. Woman.
And that's our fault.
No, it's not your fault.
Because that is how he presented it.
Well,
it's like it's our fault because you're in a place where you, for some reason, feel like you can't elevate above that level that you want, or to that level that you want to be, and so we're not noticing you, and because of that, we're not like that. I know that's not what you're saying, but that's how he presented it, as it being our fault that you guys aren't, that we're not noticing you.
No, well, okay, I hear that.
Do you see what I'm saying? But like you said, even your point about the hunting part, yeah, we look up to make sure we're not being hunted. The guy could be standing right next to us. We go back to doing what we're doing. But we are not we don't compartmentalize with our thinking.
Okay.
And so we could be doing a host of other things and don't necessarily notice, but that's not because we're not interested. It's just because there's other things that can be going on in our mind that will cause us not to be focused on that in the moment.
That makes perfect sense.
You see what I'm saying? Whereas for you guys, you're like, "Ooh, pretty woman, arousal. Yep. Oh, wow.
Now that's
let me think about all the thoughts, all the things that I can do to her." Like that is not necessarily how we think, and so
it's not how you think for everybody. But for the right guy, you definitely think
the
that.
guy with the Maserati, everybody notices him. Even other guys. Because he is the guy that wants to be noticed. Which is why, do you see me? He is the guy that wants people to see that he's driving a Maserati.
I agree.
He wants, so of course people are like, their heads are turning and they're like, wait, who is that? What is that? I mean, it's just...
Yeah, money and things has never ever been for me a motivator to do much. I know we need it to live, and so we got to go get it on some level. But that's not a huge motivator for me. I do see it that way. If you got to flaunt it, then you need the attention.
Right, and if you want to flaunt it, then that's fine. But like I said, that is yes, people are noticing him because he's
peacocking.
Yeah. Yes. If he was the same guy behind the Starbucks counter, it may not be. We are as human beings, we're attracted to things. As people, I'm not even saying that's a man or woman thing. We are attracted to things. What we're attracted to is different depending on who we are.
Yeah, I agree.
But anybody pulling up in a Maserati in a nightclub, all heads are turning.
That's true. That's true.
So when you look at it like that, it's... Are we really I mean, yes, we heard it. We heard it today about this, women who, this one lady, she's like, oh, I don't want to, the guy I date has to make $300,000.
We were watching Kendra G. Shout out to Kendra G.
Shout out to Kendra G.
Shout out to you. Yes, this one young lady, she went in, she was 40 plus, 2 kids, didn't want to say what she did as a profession, but she was a vlogger. Okay. Maybe she only has fans in one place. I'm just saying. She was a vlogger. Whatever. And the laundry list she ran down for the man that he has to, like, she was like Build-A-Bro. It was weird. It was legit weird.
But and one of the things was, oh, I need my man to make $300,000 or more. Do you make $300,000 or more? Okay. So, like, when you put it in that context, I can understand where he's coming from, because the guy that's making 300 or more isn't checking for her.
Right.
I guarantee.
That's the part
that he ain't checking for her.
Not even kind of. Not even kind of
for her.
Now he'll smash though.
He might not even do that.
He might not even do that, but hey,
I can guarantee you, there's 300,000 pussies being thrown his way.
I mean,
so
yeah, but you catch a guy on the off day, you never know. Here's what I'll say is this. Sometimes I believe people mistake sex for commitment, or even sex for interest. Because a man can have sex with you and not be interested in you at all.
I think just talking to my friends, that some women have a hard time deciphering that.
Yes.
From a man.
And I think that's our fault. I just do.
But I think you guys you go in that way, because you're not going to go meet a woman and be like, hey, yeah, I'm just trying to smash.
Yeah, you would.
I mean, yeah, you would maybe. But yeah, a woman who, like her, who's looking for a committed relationship, she may or may not, but
she definitely would.
I know, talking to my friends, I would talk to my friends and they would tell me, and I'm like, don't you see he's just trying to smash? Like, you don't see that?
And what is the response almost every time?
It's like, no, I think he's really interested and blah blah blah, and the minute he smashes,
smoke bomb, gone.
So
all I'm saying, and this is what I was saying in the episode, sometimes we convince ourselves that what we're dealing with on the other side with this person is something that it isn't. And we convince ourselves that it is simply because we want it to be so bad.
and if that's the point, then what he is saying as far as people not paying attention to him, to the man, isn't that, doesn't that prove your point?
I mean,
that it maybe what you're seeing is something that it's not. There could be so many, all the other things that we just talked about that could be playing a factor into what you're seeing as, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like I just don't.
But at the same time, if it works by the numbers, and you're that kind of dude who's just trying to smash most of the time, his method will work. Now, you may not be getting a high caliber woman. You're not getting the wifey quality woman. That's the problem. So here's where men go wrong. We think because we can smash, that's it. And for man logic, that really truly is it. We don't need more than that.
But you separate, don't you separate wifey material?
Absolutely. But some men don't value the wife. Tony said, that's why immature men send dick pics.
Yes.
Yes, because by the numbers, it does work. It may not. If you send out the dick pic to 10 women, 9 may call you a dirty pig, and that, and one might go, "That's funny," or something like that. Just give you a little opening, and that's all you needed. I know many girls like that.
But don't
Some
you
do.
think? Don't you
Some
think
do.
the guy behind the Starbucks counter that's not getting attention sends the dick pics to get the attention?
I'm saying the guy behind the counter, by the time he sends a dick pic, doesn't care anymore, and he becomes dangerous at that point. And I don't mean necessarily physically dangerous. I mean, once a man stops caring, once he stops caring, that's a rough road, because there's a part of being stoic and not caring that is attractive. So now all of a sudden, this person who now realizes that his realization is, it's, oh, if I treat her bad, she'll stay. And then he treats her bad, and she stays.
I don't know who that is, but
a whole rack of them.
I believe you. I believe you.
A whole rack of them. Whole rack of them.
I believe you.
Most.
I believe you.
And that's the hard part, is I don't want that to be right, because that's not my experience.
Mm-hmm.
However, sometimes it be like that. Nadia's reaction is priceless.
I mean, I don't have a poker face with this one yet. Sorry, it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the truth though. Sometimes it just works itself out that way. I don't like it because I have a wife, a daughter, a mother, a sister, aunts, cousins, who I don't want to see being treated that way. However, I've watched a good chunk of them stay with exactly that same kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So even as a good husband looking in and trying my best to compartmentalize, I'm watching it happen all around me. That's the hard part. That's the part that it goes, well, then why are you doing all of this stuff then? That's the part that kind of makes you as a person who's trying to do the right thing, do like Spike Lee said, do the right thing. It makes you go, well, why put all that time, effort, and energy into it? And the problem is, especially in some areas in the internet, that's exactly what's being preached.
Mm-hmm.
Men are teaching other men, well, if she wants equal rights, she can get equal lefts.
Really?
Of course.
Okay.
That is an offshoot thought process of exactly what I'm talking. That's why that type of guy is dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The guy who does not have self-control, a guy who does not understand who he is and what the power he wields, and has no idea how to wield that power, is tantamount to a 6-year-old with an Uzi.
Yeah, yeah. I can't disagree. I can't disagree.
Because it's not, and again, it's the same like women. Women have a lot of power, and the narrative is, women are disenfranchised, and that, no, it's not that systematically that's not true. But women have so much power. It's these days women don't wield it the way they used to, so they don't get the same results. But especially with a man who does not understand his masculine energy, oh boy, and has no self-control to go with that, and then realizes things like what Andrew be talking about, it works, but it's not going to lead you to a result that is actually healthy.
Right.
So it working and it being a healthy outcome is two separate things.
Right. Right. Well, that part.
From a man's perspective, works means I got the draws, not I got a relationship.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, that's not how we think, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
I understand
that's the thing.
I understand that.
It's a man logic. Our bodies are built to spread our seeds. So getting draws is kind of a big deal for a guy, right? Mm-hmm. But when you have a guy who that's his goal, but he has that was a nugget right there. Hey, shout out to you, bro, because I know you heard it, right? A man who has no self-control, a man who does not understand his masculine energy, a man who has no idea how to use it, he's going to be dangerous. He's going to do some really messed up. That's where you get fuckboy from, because he's going to do some fuckboy shit. He's going to do that. But you never heard the term fuck man. Because men don't operate like that. The Bible says, when I became a man, I put childish ways behind me, which means there was a good point in my life when them childish ways was not behind me. It was very much in front of me. But at some point, I got to put them behind me. I got to choose a different route.
Yeah.
Men don't get to that place anymore. We as the older men we don't push to the younger men. This is the reason you should make a different choice now.
Right.
And so we have to teach the value of marriage. We have to teach the value of our women. We have to teach the value of being emotional, however, not being emotionally led. You feel me? You can express your emotions. You can feel it. Don't let no woman, society, pressured parent, nobody tell you as a man that you can't. There's a study that says that if a woman sees a man cry, she loses a certain amount of respect for him, and that study has been done. Yeah, that study's been done many times, and they show the same result every time.
Oh wow!
However, so these are your feelings and your emotions. Be stoic if that's who you are, but don't let anybody else dictate to you as a man who it is you are, what it is you will be. Now, be a man, get the job done because that's your job. But anything else is their problem. Their problem. Their problem. As long as you're dealing with your problem, you're good. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's the energy you have to come with. So there's a certain amount of that Andrew Tate energy that does make sense. However, the what that he's saying
with other people, it makes sense. Because
what do you mean?
I can't imagine that many women are gonna. I mean, I'm sure. Many women respond to him in a particular way.
And you got to remember, there's a lot more y'all than there are of us.
That part.
So even by the numbers, that makes sense.
Right.
Because let's say it's the lowest common denominator of woman that is going to respond to the Andrew Tate type person, right? By the numbers, that lowest common denominator is still going to be a lot more than our lowest common denominator.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so that guy who sits on the lowest common denominator, he's gonna be chilling, and he's gonna be very happy to get all because it's gonna be enough. It's gonna be enough going around.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. So a dick pic makes no sense to a wife type, but a dick pic to a 304 makes perfect sense.
I know.
Okay, cool.
I got you.
All right. Just want to be clear.
Okay. So, do y'all have any questions for us? Do you have anything to say?
No, I think this was a good session, and I appreciate you guys working with us on the technological. I know it's all vertical right now, and soon enough we'll get it horizontal and get it straight. Don't worry, it'll be good. But we are enjoying making this podcast. We hope that we're making some sort of a difference, and we're gonna start really doing a whole lot of events, and we're gonna be doing a lot more guided situations. We have my brother Jonas is going to come in and do more lead sessions with us, and we're going to really dive deeper into how to be in a relationship.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And we're going to really dive deep into some of these
fulfilling relationship,
successful relationship, and how to define what that means.
It can be done, y'all.
Absolutely, we've been doing it pretty consistently
for about 2 years.
That was good. Feels good.
I'm playing, y'all.
2 years ago later.
No, seriously though. Yeah, no. I mean, we don't have all the answers. Again, this is a journey.
And a community.
This is a community. So we want to learn from you guys
as much
as we're talking to you. Absolutely. And you might be learning from us.
Absolutely.
This is not a one-way street, right? So, we are open to your thoughts, your comments, your perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to continue sharing ours. We have so many things that we can talk about. There's some things we want to dive into that we've done personally to help us learn about each other. Because I tell you, we are very opposite in our character and who we are. And so, that can be challenging at times because, we just don't see things the same way. We just, don't.
We don't.
And so, we're going to get into all of that in the future, and we want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. So, as we've said before, thank you for joining us. Make sure you like the video. We thank you for all the comments, guys. We really appreciate you guys so much. You guys
sticking on with us the whole time.
This concludes season 1 for our podcast. 25 episodes in, concluding on season 1. Monday, we will see season 2, episode 1. Please tune in for that. And check our community page. We might have a little something special for you guys there between now and Monday. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys soon.
And remember,
we're better together. Peace. Cut it. Cut it.
Cut it.